We know how important deacons are to our faith community, so we begin this segment with a story that shows how a charitable work of deacons can have an important impact on people far away. In this case, the victims of Hurricane Sandy. Jim Dish brings us that story.
Hurricane Sandy slammed into the East Coast in late October, killing more than 130 people and causing an estimated $82 billion in damage. The megastorm affected 24 states, with New York and New Jersey taking the toughest hit. Here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, a group of Catholic deacons called Hopes on the Way swung into action.
We put out in the batch mail a request to the different parishes. We asked them if they would be willing to be drop-off sites around the Archdiocese. And we managed to have 14 sites from Antioch all the way south to Tinley Park. And those drop-off sites, along with the deacons there, were in charge of collecting the items and getting them in the buckets and having them ready for pickup.
At churches throughout the Archdiocese, parishioners donated cleaning supplies that were packed into 5-gallon buckets destined for several locations in New York and New Jersey. The supplies were loaded into a truck that swung through the main collection sites, including St. Barbara Parish and Brookfield. The project, dubbed Buckets of Hope, offered hurricane victims much more than cleaning supplies.
I thought it was tremendous, and I was glad. I just liked it was so specific, since we knew what was actually needed, and just be able to help the people and with that little bit of hope for them to kind of get back to some normalcy. It's very well organized. And we had it all separated before, so we could just get our list and just go right down the line and fill the buckets. And just all these busy bees were working away. We had a great response of people coming and able to fill the buckets.
More than 60,000 cleaning supply items were donated, things you and I take for granted, from household cleaners to work gloves, from heavy-duty trash bags to air fresheners, enough to fill 500 buckets. Even the trucking service to get the materials to the East Coast was donated. Buckets of Hope was a volunteer effort every step of the way.
Well, what it says really, that during this time between Thanksgiving and Christmas, when they're involved in so many different collections of food now, collections for the food pantries and clothing and so forth, that they're willing even to open themselves up just one more time to go out and buy a tangible gift that we can send 980 miles away to folks that are in need.
We feel really good about it because, we're so fortunate. All the storms and everything have missed us up here. And they really got socked down there, They lost everything, homes, businesses, everything, all their possessions. So anything you can do to help them makes you really feel good inside.
Hopes on the Way was born shortly after Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005. The goal of these Catholic deacons is to put their time and talents to work wherever they are needed most.
We, our group, Hopes on the Way, are really second responders. We started in Katrina in 2005, and we will want to go down there, boots on the ground, helping out, hands on hand, and supporting them. And so in the days ahead, we're going to be contacting people in New Jersey and people in New York and seeing if we can come down and really share.
After a busy morning at St. Barbara, these volunteers take time out for a quick photo op before a truckload of Buckets of Hope begins its journey east to help those in need. I'm Jim Dish, reporting for the Church, the Cardinal and You.
Cardinal, that's not an unusual act for a group of deacons in our archdiocese. They've done similar efforts before. Talk about how that is part of the role of the deacon in terms of service.
Sure. Well, the appointment of deacons and their consequent ordination starts with the New Testament, when the apostles said they're busy governing people, but somebody has to do the material service, and they appointed 7 men as deacons. So that means that deacons are primarily concerned about the poor, and the most important thing they do is to tell people who Jesus is, because that's a great poverty not to know Christ. So they announce the gospel. In the Eucharist, they read the gospel itself. And in doing that, they bring the poor to the altar of Christ. So they serve the Word of God in catechesis, in preaching, and they bring people to the Eucharist and assist in the distribution of Holy Communion. And that means that love we were talking about in relation to Sunday Mass is made visible there, but it also then moves out the deacons are, in a sense, icons of the charity of Christ. And so this charity is what moves them to help the poor everywhere. And we have marvelous deacons in this archdiocese. These are the same deacons who, responding to Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans a few years ago, went down there, rebuilt houses, etc. Now they're concerned about victims of another hurricane on the East Coast, Hurricane Sandy, and they're doing the same thing again. And it comes out of that motivation of making Christ's charity, making Christ's love visible among those who are most afflicted. So it's a beautiful example of the diaconate vocation in the church, and I'm very, very proud of our deacons.